Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sanyavari Paschatirisatani. So, every Saturday, Sunday night, I've been giving class, and we were in Vrindavan. And so we started giving class on the Damodara Lila. And so we're well into it. And we're giving a lot of details about how Jasoda is thinking and how Krishna is thinking. And these details of how Jasoda and Krishna are thinking give us insight into the nature of love. And the love of this Leela is being directed by Yogamaya. So Yogamaya makes things happen to increase the love. And she makes things not happen to increase the love. So one of the things that Yogamaya did was Yogamaya gave Krishna lots of time to get angry. So what happened was, when Krishna was put down, and his mother went to take care of the milk on the stove, Krishna got very angry. And he stole a key, he broke the yogurt pot. He broke the pot where Mother Yashoda was churning butter because he was so angry. And all that yogurt spilled all over the floor. And then he couldn't eat it because it spilled on the floor. So now he's hungry. He's even more angry because he thought he'd split the pot. At least he could eat the yogurt. You're angry, but there was some function to his anger. Now the yogurt spills all over the floor. So now what's he going to eat? And his mother's in the kitchen. She's not feeding him. So then he decides, I'll go into the storeroom because the butter and yogurt and ghee was kept in the storeroom. And so in his anger, he found the key to the storeroom. He knew where it was hiding. And he's only 3. But he found the key, opened it up, went into the storeroom, and took down yogurt and butter and broke pots and all a mess on the floor. And then he took one pot with him and he ran back downstairs. And that there was a churn, there was a mortar and pestle. The mortar was big, it was like this high. And they would grind in it. And when Krishna was a baby, they took that out of the kitchen and put it in the courtyard because it was so loud, it would wake him up. So now it was out, and they put it upside down so it doesn't get dirty. All the birds don't come in there. So this mortar, it's upside down, and you see that Krishna, in the temple, you see Krishna's tied to that mortar. There's a rope around it, then a rope around him. So the mortar is there. And then Krishna, he jumps up on top of the mortar and he starts taking the butter and feeding it to the monkeys. But it was partially because he was angry, and partially because he likes feeding monkeys butter, and partially because he wanted to create mischief, because he was kind of getting back at his mother and just extremely angry. So, this whole time that this was going on, Yogamaya had arranged that Mother Yasoda would have no idea what was going on, because if she did, she would have stopped him. So, by Yogamaya's arrangement, Mother Yasoda did not hear anything. And every time she looked in the courtyard, she either didn't see Krishna, or she just saw him, but she didn't see what he was doing. And so he was doing all this mischief, and she was talking to him and saying, I'm just going to be there in a minute, don't worry, I'm almost finished. She had no idea what he was doing. And Yoga Maya made that arrangement so that Krishna could do his mischief. So Mother Yasoda walks out to the courtyard having no idea what was going on and thinking that she had only gone in the kitchen long enough to take the milk off the stove, put it on another fire, lower the fire, and clean up the spilled milk. So for her, that was a minute or two. But actually it was about 10 minutes. But she didn't know that because Yogamaya wouldn't let her know that. So she comes out after what she thought was a minute or two into the courtyard where she had left Krishna because she had left him next to the churning pot. And she comes out and she sees a pot, the churning pot, cracked in half. And all this yogurt spilled on the floor. So her first thought is, well, she understood that Krishna did this. And she was angry, but she also was amused. Because a mischievous kid, Prabhupada said, is intelligent. So if you have a child that's very mischievous, it's a sign that he's very intelligent. Right? Did you know that? If you have one, you know it. Yeah. So then she looked over to the storeroom and she saw there was a key dangling in the lock of the storeroom. She said, oh, that means Krishna went in the storeroom. So she thought, she didn't know where he was. She thought, maybe he's in the storeroom. So she goes in the storeroom. What does she see? Pots of yogurt and butter, cracked, spilled on the ground. So she's looking at this and thinking, she understands Krishna did it, and she's thinking, why did he do this? And how did he get the key? And she's looking at the whole situation, and where is he? So she was angry, for sure, but she was also amused. This is kind of funny that a 3-year-old could get the key, get in the room, get the butter down. And so she's wondering, where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? From that vantage point of the storeroom, she could see the courtyard. And from that point, out the window, she could see Krishna. And Krishna was sitting on this mortar. And the mortar was quite high, so kind of amazed that he could be sitting on it, that he got up there. And he's feeding the monkeys yogurt. So she thinks, this is pretty bad. And this is really bad, actually. And we're going to have to punish him. So she's walking, she wants to sneak up on him, because right now he doesn't see her. His back is towards her. And so she's walking down slowly, following the spilt yogurt and butter. And as she's walking down, she sees Nanda Maharaj's walking stick or cane. And he forgot to take it. So she thinks, well, let me pick the cane up, because if I show Krishna the cane, he'll be afraid of me, and then I can deal with him, punish him. So right at that time, Krishna understood that his mother was looking for him and trying to find him and coming after him. And it's described that Krishna was really frightened. Really extremely frightened. And then, in his fear, he finally saw his mother, but he saw her with a cane, and he couldn't believe that she had a cane, because she never had a cane before. And when he saw the cane, he became doubly, triply, quadruply frightened. And you know, in the spiritual world, everything is a living entity. So the cane also has consciousness. So the cane now is participating in this Leela of scaring Krishna, just as the pot. The pot also had to crack in half as seva. We were saying last week, the pot was surrendered because Krishna cracked it in half, and it did its seva of being cracked in half. It surrendered. So now the cane doesn't want to scare Krishna, but it's Leela. So the cane says, well, if Yasoda wants to do this, then I'll have to do it. So now Krishna is frightened out of his mind. He sees the cane. He can't believe his mother's coming with the cane. And Mother Yasoda's idea was that she wouldn't use the cane. But Krishna didn't know that. But she would just have it. So she could threaten, I will use it. But from Krishna's perspective, he thought she could use it on me. And you can imagine a 3-year-old, and their mother comes with a cane. That's pretty frightening, isn't it? Now you're sitting there thinking, yeah, but it's Krishna, so he knows everything. And as you read the details of the pastime, what happens is that Krishna, in order to fully manifest the Leela, does not know what's happening, but he's fully manifesting the consciousness of a 3-year-old. So when he's afraid, it's not fake, it's genuine. Now he can come out of that because he's independent and all-knowing. But in order to enact the Leela, he will choose when to come out of it and when not to come out of it. And when he doesn't come out of it, he doesn't know that he's God, and he fears he's just a little boy afraid of his mother punishing him. And he can snap out of it like that, and he can snap back into it, as is needed to enact the Leela. But these things are all preordained, that the Leela will work this way. And so Yogamaya, Vrindadevi, Radharani, every day they plan out Leelas. This is how it's going to work. So these things are planned out in advance to work a certain way. Krishna wants to enact the pastimes a certain way. How are we going to do this? Well, I'm going to do this, and Mother Yasoda is going to get mad, and she's going to try to punish me, and this and that. It's planned that way, so Krishna doesn't have to worry about it. But when Mother Yasoda is coming with the stick, because it's planned that way, it heightens the Leela, because now, as Krishna becomes frightened, that makes it increases the emotion of the Leela. And just as Mother Yasoda's emotions are gaining strength because of all the mischief Krishna is doing, and Krishna is becoming increasingly afraid because she has a stick, that when you hear the Leela like that, your emotions also become aroused by it. And like we'll find further in the Leela, when Krishna sees his mother coming with the stick, then he cries, he rubs his eyes, he's looking like a little frightened boy. And the devotee prays, I always want to remember this form. So what Krishna is doing is just not only endearing his mother to us, but endearing his everyone who hears about the pastime, right? Does that make sense? It's not just for Yasoda. Yasoda's seeing it, but now we're hearing it, and in a sense, we're seeing it by hearing it, right? And then we have the paintings, we have the murtis, and if you have a good imagination, then by hearing you can visualize what's happening. And the ideas, I mean, just imagine if you actually saw this happening with your eyes. Like sometimes we do plays, And when you see a play, what happens? You've read the story, but when you see the play, it's more of an emotional experience, isn't it? So, to better understand these Leelas, we want to understand that all the qualities that Krishna is manifesting to heighten the love between him and Yasoda are amazingly wonderful qualities that are meant to attract us to him, that are meant to endear us, that are meant to soften our heart, right? So we become attracted to the person Krishna. Just like you're a person, I'm a person, we all have qualities. And those qualities are what attract us and to others, and others are attracted to us. Yes? So imagine the qualities Krishna has. So when you hear the Leelas, don't think, well, this is God, and in some way impersonalize it. But try to become attracted to the qualities that Krishna is manifesting in these pastimes. And try to understand how Krishna is increasing the love of Yasoda by becoming frightened or becoming angry. And then understanding Krishna's heart, which is that whatever he does, even if it's anger, even if it's fear, it's only meant to increase the relationship. And for us, anger and fear usually destroys a relationship, doesn't it? And the anger and fear that Krishna manifests, not being under the modes of nature, can only increase the relationship. So whatever Krishna does, even if it appears to be bad from the material point of view, it increases affection. So if Krishna becomes angry, or Radharani becomes angry, or Krishna becomes fearful, or Yasoda becomes fearful, or Yasoda becomes angry, whatever it is, it's only increasing affection. It has no material tinge to it. Just like sometimes Prabhupada would say, the gopis are envious of one another. And so our envy means we want to take another person down and replace them. And their envy means, I want to be like you. If you're serving Krishna so nicely, I want to serve that way. So there's no material tinge in it. It's only bringing out love. Right? So all those qualities are there in the spiritual world. The anger, the jealousy, the envy, the sulking, all of it. But it only connects the devotee and Krishna more closely. Right? Yes? Yes? There's no bad quality in the spiritual world. In the material world, we say, he has good qualities and he has bad qualities. In the spiritual world, there aren't bad qualities because there's no modes of nature. Right? So anything that appears bad is good because it's generated from love. So Mother Yasoda's anger, Krishna's fear, whatever, it's all generated from love. That's the only energy that exists there. There's no hate. There's no envy. There's no jealousy. There's only love. And then the love manifests in varieties, which may come out looking like envy or jealousy or anger. But those are just varieties of love. Yes? There can't be anything else but love there, and that's why you can't get there if you don't have love. You're not allowed in. Your heart is checked. Just like you have security checked, they check your heart to see if there's love, and if there's no love, you can't get in. Because it's the only thing that goes on. If there's no love, you stay here until you get your heart cleaned. So we've checked your heart, there's still some contamination, go back and get it cleaned, and when it's clean, you can come. But that's the only thing that exists there. Right? So when we learn about these pastimes, we want to see how the love is being manifest between Yasoda and Krishna. So Krishna understands when Yasoda's coming with that stick, what's his natural response? Run. So he runs. Now, the demigods are watching this, and it's an amazing pastime because Krishna is getting caught stealing by his mother. At least she's trying to catch him. And they're looking at this thinking, this is amazing that he's actually afraid of his mother. And by the nature of this pastime, Krishna will not let his mother catch him until he decides he'll let her catch him. And the way the pastime unfolds, even if she should catch him, even if she's running faster, she won't. It won't happen. And anyway, I wanted to read something. Kind of sheds more light on this. Some more details. Unless you have a question or an answer or an argument. Something that I was reading that was very interesting. Oh yeah. We had read last week something really amazing. That Krishna wasn't eating butter or yogurt, but he was eating Mother Yasoda's love. So when he was tasting it, that's really what he was tasting. And then he realized that if he eats Mother Yasoda's yogurt, which is her love, then he'll be completely controlled by her love. Because everyone, including Krishna, is controlled by love. And he thought, if I eat too much of her yogurt, I'll totally be controlled by her, and I'll do whatever she says. And I'll just be like a lamb. And all my fun and pranks will be over. And that's why Krishna would steal yogurt from the neighbors. So he wouldn't have to eat Mother Yasoda's yogurt and butter, because by eating that, he would be totally controlled by her, and he didn't want to be controlled by her. Isn't that amazing? And Mother Yasoda thought, there must be something wrong with my butter and yogurt. So she would get the best cows and feed them the best grass to get the best milk to make the best yogurt, because she thought Krishna doesn't like my yogurt and butter. So he's stealing from the neighbors, but the real reason he's stealing is because he's controlled by that. So everything that Yasoda does is out of love. So he experiences the love even when he's taking the butter and yogurt. Just like when your mother cooks, you experience the love, right? At least if she loves you. You experience the love, yes. Sri Dham Mayapur. Janani means mother. Lord Damodar's mother. This book is all about Yasoda's love. And the Acharya said that Yasoda's love is so great, it's equal to the love of Radharani. Because generally in Vatsalya Ras, the level of prema does not go to Mahabhav. In each ras, the level goes up one step from Sakya, from Dasya to Sakya to Vatsalya, up to Madhurya, and then in Madhurya it goes all the way up to Mahabhav. But in Vatsalya, it doesn't go, it goes to Bhava, then in Sakya it goes up, I forget, Pranaya or something. So there are different stages of love, but Mother Yasoda's love is equal to the love of Radharani. It's not any, the Acharya said it's not any less than Radharani's love. So this whole pastime, really, the more you go into this pastime, the more you see this is a pastime which is describing this intense affection of Mother Yasoda. So you can understand what love is. Otherwise, we try to understand love according to relationships in this world, which relationships in this world are only reflections of love. And so you understand, from this pastime, you understand Yasoda's love. And then you become inspired, and you understand. The idea is that you become inspired to love Krishna with the intensity of Mother Yasoda. And then you understand there's only love of Krishna or love of sense gratification. As Mother Yasoda has no love of sense gratification. She doesn't have a material body anyway. So you see that everything that's happening in this Leela is generated by pure love. And of course, Krishna has pure love for his mother. So you just see this pure exchange of love, and then you understand what love is. You know, like people talk about love. This is the purest form of love. Yes?
How is it that by having her yoga, it's accompanied by the love to love? Is it the fact that she's cooking, the act of cooking, or is it's the love that goes into the cooking, into the yoga?
Everything. And he feels the love. And he wants to feel the love. He wants to feel the love, and she has the love to give, and he relishes feeling it. And this pastime is just to increase her love for him, because that's what he likes. Krishna's he's an interesting personality. He does things to bring love out of the devotee's heart because he relishes love. It's like, let's say you have peanuts in your pocket, and I like peanuts. Now I do something to get those peanuts out of your pocket. I give you a massage, and then you say, "Can I give you something?" I don't know. What do you have? I have some peanuts. Okay. I got the peanuts. Right? So Krishna, you've got love, and he's trying to get it out of you. So this is interesting also because you have love, you have love, you have love, you have love, and Krishna's trying to get it out of all of us. And he does these pastimes to get our love out of our heart for him because he relishes that love. He gives us the Maha Mantra, and he sends a pure devotee, all to get that love out, right? So that's all Krishna's trying to do, is get your love out, give to him. Because he's addicted to love. That's what it means. The fountainhead of love. That's what it means. He's addicted to love. And even if he does something to us that doesn't seem like love, it really is, because if it brings us closer to him, then Krishna's happy. Does that make sense? Like Krishna wants to pull your love out of your heart. And and the Nectar Devotion says, well, if you can cry hearing Krishna's pastimes, that's very good. That's wanted. You hear Krishna's pastimes, you cry, that means there's some emotion, some affection. That makes Krishna happy. You feel something. And naturally, as you advance, you'll feel more and more and more and more, and then you'll cry. Naturally, when you see the deity or you hear the Leela or you chant the name, in a more purified state, your emotional response will be greater, and Krishna likes that. And it's natural for you anyway. So when you hear the pastime, if this touches your heart, that's good. That's the intention of it. Krishna's trying to touch your heart with his Leela and bring out whatever affection you have, which is now being wasted in so many ways on other things, right? Isn't it? Our affection is being wasted on things that we're sensually attached to. Yes? So, Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. That's just funny. So, he hears Mother Yasoda. She hasn't seen him yet. She knows he's coming. So Krishna thinks, I'm the Yogeshwar, I'm the master of mystics, so I'll just make myself invisible. He says, well, the yogis do it, and they do it by my power, so I'll do it. So he tries to make himself invisible. And it doesn't work. And he's thinking, what's going on? I'm the master of all the yogis who do this. It's my Shakti, and it's not working for me. You know why it wasn't working? Anyone want to guess? It would interfere with the Lila, and Mother Yasoda is looking for Krishna, and her love was so strong that, and she was so angry, and she needed to find him, that her love was so strong that he couldn't hide from her, so he couldn't even make himself invisible, although he's God. What do you think of that? Is that amazing? Isn't it? So the point is that her love is more powerful than him, and her love can control him. Yes?
Isn't that a similar thing when Krishna disappeared from the Leela and Krishna disguised himself as Lord Vishnu?
Oh yeah, when Radharani came, then he couldn't. It was the same thing when he couldn't maintain his Narayan form when Radharani came.
Is that the same as
Yeah, that's the same idea, yeah. That the power of the devotee is greater. The power of the devotee controls Krishna. So even though it's said in that Leela, all the gopis came and he was maintaining his Narayan form. But when Radharani came, he didn't have the power. So that's one of the features of love of Krishna, that it controls Krishna. Love is more powerful. Everybody's controlled by love. Love is more powerful than the person. If somebody loves you, they control you. So this is just an example of how Mother Yasoda was controlling him.
Is she made to do that? Is she made to control Krishna? Or not?
No, but she's just thinking she's the mother, she has to punish him. She's not cognizant of anything other than he's a naughty boy and he needs to be punished. So yes, I need to control him, because I'm his mother. But her controlling him by love in this case, she's only cognizant of it if it helps the pastime, if it helps the Leela. But if it doesn't help increase the love, there's no need for her to be cognizant of it. She's only aware of whatever will create a stronger bond between her and Krishna. And if she ever becomes aware of Krishna's supremacy, immediately Yogamaya comes and covers. Like Krishna was crying, and he's crying so much that there was a puddle on the floor. And children, nobody can cry. Nobody can create puddles by their crying. And so the fact that he creates a puddle by his crying indicates he's not just an ordinary boy. So Yogamaya comes and says, oh no, Krishna, who is the source of all water, is creating a puddle of water. If Yasoda sees this, she's going to lose her feeling for him as her son, and she's going to think that he's God. So Yogamaya comes and dries the puddle up. So Mother Yasoda sees it for a second, but it doesn't register that Yogamaya dries it up. And then there's no puddle. And then she dries the water up within him. So he can't cry all those tears, because that would ruin it. So that's all that's happening. So whatever they know is only within the realm of that relationship, which helps the relationship. And if they know anything more, Yogamaya comes and covers it. Because that would do. Yeah, but by Krishna's. But she isn't, because Krishna, she knows what Krishna wants, so she's just enacting. It's like if you're directing a movie and you tell the producer, I want this, that, that, then Yogamaya does it. But it's already been directed by Krishna. But this is how the Leela is going to unfold itself. Then Yogamaya comes, and then Krishna can go into his mood as a baby and forget everything, and then Yogamaya can control it all, so he doesn't have to worry about it. Occasionally he comes out of it just to make sure things go properly if they're going off. But otherwise, Yogamaya, she controls it all. So that's why devotees get bewildered and they think, well, Krishna's crying, but is he just faking it? No, he's not faking it. He's totally in the mood of a 3-year-old boy, crying out of fear of Jasoda punishing him. And she's totally in the mood of a mother punishing her child. But the difference is no one in the universe, no mother in the universe has that kind of love, because no one is as attractive as Krishna. So nobody could possibly have that love. Right? Sometimes people say, or Prabhupada said, the love of a mother is the closest thing to pure love of God. That's true. But no child is attractive as Krishna. So no mother could have the love of Mother Yasoda. But there's no child that could bring out that kind of love. And that love is ingrained within the soul. It's not a material love. So Mother Yasoda is totally absorbed in her motherhood, and Krishna is totally absorbed in his babyhood. And that's all they know. And if ever Jasoda becomes slightly aware of Krishna's position, Yogamaya comes and covers. That's why in the Bhagavatam, in the Krishna book, when Jasoda saw the universe in Krishna's mouth, Yogamaya potency was gone. She understood Krishna's position as God. And she understood that she was not his mother. Now, that ruins everything, right? If Mother Yasoda forgets that she's Krishna's mother, there can be no more pastimes, Raj pastimes. Now it can't happen in Vrindavan. That's what Vrindavan's about. Krishna's just the little cowherd boy. So Mother Yasoda gets out of the illusion, then Yogamaya says, uh-oh, this is a problem. Then Yogamaya covers her. Not only covers her so she forgets what just happened, she comes back to her original position, but it's completely out of her mind. If you ask Mother Yasoda, did you see the universe in Krishna's mouth? She'll say no, completely forgets. Because she can't remember it and then still be in the Lila of Jasoda with my son as baby Krishna. So Yogamaya is removed for a moment, and then she sees the universe, and then Yogamaya says, okay, we have to close this, otherwise the Lila can't continue. She closes it, she just kind of comes out of it a little bewildered, and Krishna is just her son, and she forgets.
Is there a reason why
Yeah, so Krishna could reveal his opulence. And it just enhances the Lila. It's funny, isn't it? You look at his mouth, you see the whole universe. You see what Arjuna saw, and then you cover it, and the answer to that question is just to enhance the pastime and make Krishna more attractive and more adorable. So that's, what if you had a son and you opened his mouth and you saw the universe? And everybody loved your son. They'd love him more after that, wouldn't they? He's even more special. But then Yogamaya would come, everything would be okay. Because Yogamaya's position is only to do things which will enhance the love and the Lila. So she wouldn't do anything that would frighten anybody. She would only do what would attract the devotee. That's the whole point. Mahamaya would do that, but Yogamaya would never do that. And Mahamaya would only do that because we have that desire to be separate. And so Yogamaya, in dealing with the pure devotee, only brings them closer because that's their only desire. The Mahamaya is only there because we want it. We want to be separate. So she just separates us. But for the pure devotee, there's no desire to be separate. So Yogamaya wouldn't do anything to separate. She would only do things to bring us closer. You see, the whole world evolves around what we want. So when we want pure love, then Yogamaya comes. When we don't want it, when we want to be separate, then Mahamaya comes. And then we separate, at least in our consciousness. Right? And that's how we ended up here. That makes sense? So those are Krishna's two energies, one to bring us closer and one to push us away. And in either case, it's only because that's what we want. And if you're willing, or if you have love of Krishna, then Krishna will use you to extract more and more love out of you. And that's the dynamic of the spiritual world. Just like you can read in Nectar Devotion, it says Krishna's always becoming more beautiful. That inspires Radharani, she becomes more beautiful. The love is increasing. That inspires Radha, she increases her love. So that's going on eternally. It's dynamic. Love is always growing.
Do you think those pastimes of Krishna, aren't there devotees who are on different levels? So not everyone on that high level.
There's some that are getting there, yeah.
So there may be different instructions for different people, or different.
No, they're just coming to that level. They're right on the borderline of that level, and they're being enlisted in these leelas to become completely purified. Some trace of contamination is there. And so they're going from bhava to prema. And in bhava, there's just a little bit of contamination, and in prema, there's nothing. So in those leelas, Krishna's enacting those leelas for them to just erase any last traces of contamination. That's how those leelas function. And they function that way with us. In the same way, by hearing them. But we're just starting on a lower position. But anyone who's in those leelas is least on the stage of bhava. And they're there to get purified to prema and then back to their eternal position. So yes, it's true. They're reacting slightly different. Like the gopis who didn't get to the Rasa Lila. That's because they still had a little further to go. But by not going to the Rasa Lila, they got purified so that they could go next time. And then when they were able to go, then they're, like Prabhupada says, if you become perfect, then once you're perfect, then it doesn't matter what you were before. It's just, this is what you are now. You may have been very weak a year ago, but now you're strong, so it doesn't matter. Now you're strong. Now you're cured. So once you reach prema, then you're in a liberated soul, then it doesn't matter what you were before. All the liberated souls are the same. And then you engage in those pastimes. Of course, there's always gradations, that's for sure. But still, there's a minimum level of purity, and that's prema. And then there are different stages of prema. According to your rasa, you'll go to different stages. And even within the same rasa, there are different intensities.
And the ones who are on the lower level, are they liberated?
Yeah. They're on the way up.
What are the chances for us that we're fighting back and we have all these desires to come back? For example, it's said that if one gives up his body, man knows his body in the holy dam, is promoted to the local dam. How does that work if we are still full of... Krishna can get rid of all these desires at once for us at the moment of death because of the position of the dam? I don't know. seems very hard to get unified that to that level.
There are many stories, and I just heard a few more in Vrindavan, of devotees that Prabhupada came to save. And then the last story we heard in Vrindavan was, I believe it was a dream a devotee had. And one of her god sisters was dying, and Prabhupada came to save that devotee. And this devotee was saying in her dreams that I said, Prabhupada, I'm so surprised to see you here. And Prabhupada said, don't you think I will come for you also? You doubt that I'll come for you? So that was a dream, but that actually happened. The devotees, several devotees reported seeing someone dying and coming up and saying, Prabhupada. So what we know a few things that Prabhupada said. He said, if you're not perfect, you'll come back in a devotee family, or depending how far evolved you are, you may take birth on a heavenly planet, then come back. Or you may join Krishna's Lila on this earth to become further purified before you go back to God. But Prabhupada said, chant your rounds, follow the principles and serve me, and you go back to Godhead in this lifetime. So, how that's going to happen? Wait and find out. But if you don't chant 16 rounds and follow the 4 regs, you won't find out how that's going to happen.
Well, he promised that for his disciples, that we are grand disciples. Apply still?
Of course.
So there is hope.
His books are for everybody. Instructions for everybody. And you're his 6-year disciple. Yeah. Lord Chaitanya is very merciful, and Prabhupada is representing that mercy. So therefore, we have faith in that mercy. And how it will happen is just like, how is it even possible that we're devotees? I mean, we think it's amazing we could go back to Godhead. I think it's amazing we can even chant 16 rounds and follow the 4 regular principles. And if we can do that, then why would it be amazing that we could become pure devotees? To me, in a sense, that's even harder. Extracting someone from the material world who's addicted to sense gratification. That's amazing, isn't it? And you see so many people around the world are becoming devotees. It's just amazing. But then you see many, many senior devotees are becoming very advanced, very attached to Krishna. They're gaining a strong taste. So it's proof that it works. And so Prabhupada said, this life, if not this life, then another one. It's not that long. One time one devotee said, Prabhupada, it takes so long. And Prabhupada said, only one life. That's not long. You know. And for this devotee, it meant 5 years and I'm not a pure devotee. It's taking so long. Because when you're 20, 5 years, that's a quarter of your life. So that seems like a long time, right? And Prabhupada said, well, only 70 years, that's not very long. It's only one lifetime. So many times Prabhupada promised that, and so that's how we understand that it will work. And we have faith. If we do what he said and spread this movement, then he'll take care of us. That's the definition of faith, isn't it? That our Shastras give. You don't have to do anything else. You follow those principles, and you don't have to make any other effort. So, and the other statements, Prabhupada made various statements. You build this temple, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur will come and take you back to Godhead. And he made similar statements. It should be my books to go back to Godhead. He told head pujaris, take care of the deities like you're doing, continue in this way, you go back to Godhead in this lifetime. So, in Hollywood, they say, not what you know, but it's who you know. Or maybe they say that everywhere. Do they say that everywhere? But especially there. So, when the Yamadutas are coming for you, if they do, you can say, but I know Prabhupada. Or if you have some confrontation, like you meet Jai and Vijay, and they don't want to let you in, you can say, but I'm a grand disciple of Prabhupada. Okay. Yes.
Many years ago, decades ago, the incredible details of this Damodara Lila weren't actually available.
Yeah.
So, is it necessary to study all the details and relish the details, or is it all right just to have a nice, simple understanding?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. One time, we got a message that the Prabhupada said to eat for lunch, just to eat 2 chapatis and a cup of dal, which is not very much. Cup is like this. That's a cup. This is probably more than that. 2 chapatis and a cup of dal. You want to try that tomorrow? Well, we got the letter, so we did it. And we had small breakfast also. So you might think, well, if you have a big breakfast, and we had a very small breakfast. So everybody was starving.
And at this time only there was no big brahmacharis, no?
Just a bunch of weak brahmacharis. We thought we were rough and tough. But then, about 2 weeks later, we found out that was not the complete statement. The statement was, somehow we didn't get the whole statement. The statement was, if you can only digest 2 chapatis and a cup of dal, then that's all you should eat. But if you can digest 10 chapatis, then you can eat 10 chapatis. It's a true story. We went 2 weeks on 2 chapatis and a cup of dal.
And then you have 20 after.
Well, actually, what was happening, we distributed prasadam on Sankirtan. We'd make cake. And all the devotees would say, can I distribute the cake? And then they would walk away from the kirtan party and eat the cake. Everybody did it, but nobody said that they did it. So, the same thing applies to your question. If you're satisfied with 2 chapatis of Lila, then that's fine. And if you have a big appetite to understand more and more about Krishna, that's also good. But I would say that as you advance, your appetite to understand more will increase. And I can tell you another story. I lived in Vrindavan in I first went there in January 1997. And around this time, many, many devotees had, not many, but some of the leading devotees were going to Narayan Raj, and they were asking him more about Krishna Lila and Raganuga Bhakti and like that. And so, from what I understand, that he normally didn't talk about these things, but because they were asking, that he would talk about all these intimate Leelas of Krishna and details of rasa we didn't understand. So the classes in Vrindavan at that time were very much influenced by this, and they were very, very elevated. And it was a little different than what I was used to hearing, and I was thinking, why is everybody so into Leela? Because Prabhupada was more into philosophy, and the classes were like dripping with all the details of these Leelas and intricate understandings of why devotees were doing things and why Krishna was doing things. Like here, in this Leela, we're learning little details. Krishna ran outside the courtyard onto the street. You know why? Because he thought once he's on the street in front of the public, Mother Yasoda can't do anything. Because everyone will see. Right? So that's a detail we didn't know. He'll be safe. He can't do anything in public. People won't allow her to use the stick. So I was thinking this is kind of, I don't know, over the top. You know that expression? Over the top. It's too much. That's why I think, what's all this Leela, Leela, Leela? And it kind of came to a point where people were kind of suspect if they were talking about Leela, because if you're talking about Leela, that must mean you must be going to Narayan Raj, or hearing from someone who's going to Narayan Raj, because you're always talking about Leela. So it almost became kind of taboo to talk about Leela too much. You know, and that kind of became a joke, you know. Hearing Krishna's pastimes is like illegal here. Anyway, so one day I went on a Govardhan Parikrama. And when I came home, I said, give me those books on Leela, I want to read. The one who was doubting was like, give me those books, I want to read about it. So that parikrama just purified me. So my appetite increased. So obviously, you know, if you're not hungry, you can't eat. But it would be expected that as you advance, that desire to understand more about what love of Krishna is, how the devotees think, how Krishna thinks, what Krishna does, would increase. But at the same time, I would say, Prabhupada created priorities and moods. So we don't want to transgress those. And he had priorities in what our service should be. We saw how he preached. So we want to keep within those parameters. You know, like if every class you gave, you were just talking about intimate Leelas of Radha and Krishna, because you have a specific taste for it, that would be wrong, because Prabhupada never set that precedent. Personally, you may have a desire to study those things. But Prabhupada never told us, just study that and don't study anything else. So, you know, you have to be balanced. But I think it's good. Okay, we'll see you. If you want to come tomorrow, we'll be here. Same time, same station, same Leela. You can stay a little longer if you want, but some devotees have to go now.
Is it possible that someone could, in their desire to hear more intimate details, that they don't get grounding in the actual beginning philosophy,
Oh yeah.
and all they want to do is hear stories instead of some they may not really understand if I can hear teaching.
Depends who they're hearing from. Because what you describe, I have seen. It's kind of like a person is doing algebra and they don't know how to add and subtract that well. Something like that. I've seen that. Like they've learned very high things, but certain basic things they don't understand. And to me, it seems awkward.
An example of a foundation, building a house like you have a solid foundation, then the house can be built.
Yeah.
But if you build a house and the foundation is weak, then the house is going to fall down.
Yeah.
I don't know,
It does.
or someone said that before.
I would say that the danger is